Okay, so what I was
Joel,
saying.
another question.
Shut
Hey,
up,
another
Brando.
question for you, real quick. One more question for you, Joel. If you found out the Earth is not a sphere in the next 5 minutes, right, or 10 or whatever, wouldn't that be the most interesting thing you could possibly find out today, or maybe in your lifetime?
No, I would be much more interested in if we were living in a hologram on some kind of, four-dimensional hyperspace. That would be far more interesting
No,
than
no.
whether or
But what's
not.
interesting for us is we're looking into how they reverse engineered it, right? We're figuring out how they convinced people like you and us formerly that we lived on a spinning ball. That's interesting. How they were able to do that. It's fascinating. That's what keeps us interested, is how they were able to do it. And we figured a lot of that out. I can tell you 100%, 100% we're not living on a spinning ball. And I can give you one reason that's right in your face, and it happens every second of the day.
All right, let's do it. What is it?
Planes, all right, I'm going to walk you through this, okay? When you jump up in the air, right, and you're enough familiar with some of the science, right, about the ball to probably walk through this, okay? I wonder if you can. When you jump up in the air, or if you go up in a helicopter and hover, right, the ball model says that the reason that the Earth doesn't move separately from you below is because you were on the ground and you retained the momentum. You conserve the momentum from being on the ground, right?
Sure.
So say you're at like a latitude that the ball is moving 500 miles an hour, because it tapers up to the equator at 1,000 miles an hour, down to zero at the poles. You familiar with that?
Yeah, sure.
Right. So if you were at a latitude where it's like 500 miles an hour and you jumped up in the air, well, the reason that you don't have the Earth moving separately from you below is they say because you were on the ground moving at 500 miles an hour with the ground, then you're still moving at 500 miles an hour when you get in the air. That's why you can land in the same spot that you jump from. Do you get that concept?
Yes.
Okay. You understand conserved momentum.
Angular momentum, yes.
You can call it angular momentum, whatever you want. It's a tangential velocity of 500 miles per hour at the latitude that you jumped from, or you went up in a helicopter, right?
Sure. Yep.
Now, the helicopter, or let's say it's a plane, is going to fly to the equator, right? Where the ground is now moving 1,000 miles an hour, right? And the plane is going to try to land on a landing strip that's now moving 1,000 miles an hour, but he only conserved 500 miles per hour conserved momentum. Where does the extra 500 come from?
So okay. So this person.
Oh, it's a plane, right? And all pilots are taught to treat the Earth as stationary. They don't ever worry about rotation or curvature or any of that. They just all any pilot is taught is to fly and land as if, in quotes, the Earth is stationary and level. Just like all flight simulators use, they don't do any rotation, and they don't have any kind of tangential velocity included in their flight simulators. But the pilot's gonna land on the landing strip that's moving at 1,000 miles an hour as if it were stationary, meaning that the plane has to be rotating eastward at exactly 1,000 miles an hour or whatever the speed is that he's landing on the Earth at. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Do you? Do
I
you
mean,
understand he has to be in perfect sync? He has to be in
I
perfect sync to
am.
treat the Earth as stationary. Perfect sync.
Yeah. I am thinking about this visually as at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, you got it. And he has to have an extra 500 miles per hour of that eastward vector, right? It has nothing to do with his forward motion because he could be randomly flying west southwest against the spin, right? The whole time and get to the equator where the Earth is now moving twice as fast as where he took off from, right? He's going to land in a clearing. He has no destination. There's no math you can put into this because he's just randomly flying west southwest against the spin. He's going to land in a clearing somewhere along the equator, and he's going to always be able to treat the Earth as stationary. Yet the fact of the matter is the plane would have to be going twice as fast eastward. That eastward vector has to have an extra 500 miles an hour tacked onto it. And you have to explain where that comes from.
Well, I mean, when you say there's a lot of like in terms of what you just said, like you're saying that they have to treat the way that
They
they
always do.
land as yeah. Well, I want to know like what the actual like what you're quoting. I'm assuming you're quoting something. I kind of
You
want to
can
read.
look into that. That's not
Yeah,
even
I would want to
debatable.
look into that
For
because I'm
now,
assuming it's
assume
under
that
like
I'm right for now. You can check it later, right?
no.
Assume that I'm right for now. But when you check it, you'll find out that pilots are only taught to just treat the Earth as stationary and fly as if it's stationary. They fly
Well, I
point to
know
point
for a fact.
as
I
if
think
the Earth is stationary.
yeah, yeah. I know for well, I know for a fact. First of all, you're saying that like I know for a fact that well, for one, that they calculate flight trajectories on the base. Like maybe you're saying the pilot, and I think maybe it's like air traffic control. You know, whoever's charting the course on this. Like I don't know. Like someone's doing that. Someone is incorporating that the Earth is spherical. I'm pretty damn sure. Like in terms of like
Well,
that's
okay, let's say there wasn't somebody doing that. Would there be a problem?
well, I mean, again, I'm trying to actually think about the situation involved because I don't know, like, if you're saying now I have to make the assumption if there was no one doing that. Okay, well, I mean, again,
Yeah,
I'm
make that
actually,
assumption because there isn't anybody doing that, right? You can look at somebody who's probably going to try to claim that they figure out the flight path according to the globe, but that doesn't even matter. Look in the chat, look in the text chat. I just put two gifs in there that explain what I'm talking about, right? You're
mm,
starting with a 500 mile per hour conserved momentum. You're flying to the equator where it's 1,000 miles an hour because it's faster ground speed, right? The ground is moving faster.
yeah, yeah,
The
no,
plane has to be in
this is
perfect
what,
sync to treat the Earth
yeah,
as stationary. Now, whether it's true or not that the pilot always treats it as stationary doesn't matter. You can look into it. You'll find out I'm right about that. Now, if this is the scenario, right, where he's just treating it as stationary, where's the extra 500 come from?
I mean,
And if there
I'm,
was no way to account for that 500, would there be a problem with your globe? Planes
well,
land every
I'm
minute of the day.
thinking again. I'm thinking about. I mean, obviously, this is like a flying object using turbines, so obviously I'm trying to like
Yep.
for one I don't know where like you're saying where does the energy come from. I don't, it could be from the giant turbines on the plane, but I have to, I'm thinking about the whole thing, right now. I'm trying to like think
Right. Okay.
critically
Now this
about
is
it.
what I'll give you a couple of the different answers that I usually get with this argument. Because there is no answer to this, right? So people just randomly just they guess at it because they don't know because there isn't an answer because pilots always treat the Earth as stationary, and the only way they could treat the Earth as stationary and flat is if it's actually fucking stationary and flat. Because there'd be a difference in the ground that they're landing on compared to where they took off from. And the air moving the plane isn't going to do it. Air moving the plane is called a wind. Winds go in all directions, not just eastward, right? And if he's going west southwest against the spin, the plane's not made to fly backwards. And when he slows down to land, do you think the plane's going to have some jets on it, making it go backwards in sync with the Earth so he can treat the Earth as stationary when he lands? Planes aren't made to do that. The pilot's not even told that there's any kind of tangential gradient to worry about. He's just flying point to point and landing as if, in quotes, it's stationary. The only
I mean, like,
freaking way in 5 minutes, I just proved to you the Earth is not a spinning ball
no, you
because
didn't
planes
really,
land every second of the day.
that's not the
You may not
that's
know that
not
I
how
proved it to
proof
you, but I
works.
did. Right? Once you
No,
look
you
into
didn't.
it, you'll
No,
find
you
out I'm
didn't.
right. Then you'll find
No,
out
yeah,
later, like
that's not how proof
post
works.
afterwards, you'll
You
find out
can't
I'm
rush
right,
through a
and
proof
you'll be
like
like,
that.
shit, there's no answer to this.
No, that's not how a proof works. You can't. I understand like what you just said. You
I'm
just
just, I
said
know, I know you don't think that, but I did prove it to you in 5 minutes, like I said, and then you'll go
you
look
did no,
into it, and you'll
no, you
find
did
out I
not.
did.
No, you did. No, you did not.
Not according to you yet, because you haven't looked into it, of course. But everyone else here that knows what I'm talking about knows that I'm right and knows that you just got it proved to you.
No, you just don't know what the word "prove" means, apparently. But
It doesn't matter about the word proof. Tell me the answer. Where's the 500 miles per hour come from so we can land as if the Earth is stationary?
I
How
mean,
is the plane
see,
moving
one of the
eastward in sync
issues
with
that
the
I
Earth an
have,
extra 500 miles an hour?
one of the issues that I have with you people, I mean, flat earthers.
Don't go to you people. You're talking to me. Don't try
Yeah,
to
yes, with
generalize and get
you.
out of it
Okay,
by
with
saying,
you,
"Oh, flat earthers
with
are like
you,
this."
is
No,
not meaningfully
just talk to me,
different
bro.
from the rest of.
Just talk to me,
Okay,
bro.
with
Just
what?
talk to me.
Okay, yes.
Don't
With
worry
what
about
you
any
just
kind of
said,
previous kind of
yes, exactly.
assumptions, right?
With
Get rid
what,
of your assumptions.
yes, with what you just said, I have a suspicion, much like, and it does not meaningfully distinguish itself from previous conversations I've had with flat earthers, that's an ill-posed question. I'm not sure that is a well-posed question to begin with.
Yeah, I don't know if you're high but you're stupid. If you think the Earth's flat, you're a retard.
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah, well, that really did a
You're a
lot of good,
broken
right?
record,
That
Joe.
guy, these are
Yeah,
your
me.
friends. The guy that comes in and says you're retarded, he's really smart, huh? He's smart to come in and say, you must be retarded because I was told, and like we all were, we all assumed it was stupid, right? But now there's a bunch of intelligent people that have figured it out, and you still don't want to know. You'd rather just assume we're wrong.
He has a suspicion that it's an ill-posed question. Is that
Yeah,
usually
he'd
some sort
rather
of
think that than
reputation?
think about the fact that he has no answer. You
That's
have
just
no
a
answer,
fucking
bro.
cope, dude. It's a ridiculous cope.
No, I have a suspicion. Well, I mean, many of
So
your
check
questions.
this out, Shoal.
As
What you don't
do,
know.
I mean, I don't want to, again, you
So,
said, oh, just
so
talking to me, I treat you as an individual, and each of you as an individual. Like, yeah, totally fair. But
what you don't know, Shoal,
many
is
flat
that
earthers have asked me ill-posed questions before.
it's fantastic.
It doesn't matter about
Unbelievable.
other flat earthers, dude. You have no answer to this. Let me just say, like, can you do a hypothetical? Let's say I'm right that the plane would have to have an extra 500, and there was no way for it to get there. Just can you do hypothetical? That's a sign of intelligence. If you can, if you can just like take away all your assumptions and go, okay, if this guy's right, and there's no way for the plane to have an extra 500 miles per hour eastward tangential velocity, there's no force that does that,
Yeah,
and he would
okay.
crash the plane. Then you would have a problem, right? You can hypothetically understand that would be a problem, right?
I have a thought now. I thought about it. So, I mean, because the Earth will be spinning beneath you, and that there will be some discrepancy in that momentum that you inherit from the Earth. Like we discussed earlier, as a result of conserved momentum, as you move towards the equator and therefore a larger distance from the axis of rotation of the Earth, you would be falling behind, and that would be described by the Coriolis force, as if there were some fictitious force pushing you kind of in the other direction. And I'm assuming when they say free, when you say, okay, in a flight simulator, and I've done a flight sim, you have to maintain your heading. And basically you fix on something in the distance and you say, I want to go to that. I mean, I'm just thinking, whatever they're doing, they're flying as if they will be deflected by a
As if it's
Coriolis
flat and
force.
stationary?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
let me just tell
exactly
you,
how they
hey,
fly.
bro,
So I'm assuming
let me level with you. Let me level with you. I'll tell you
No, I'm
what.
assuming that
I'll
in
tell you
order
what's
to
going on
no,
here.
can I just say, and assuming in order to maintain a
Now, remember my scenario. He has no direction,
in
right?
order to
He's flying in
maintain a
circles.
course
He has
that
no
would be
path.
straight.
He has no
that-
destination. He has no. In my scenario, he's flying west southwest. He's not aiming at anything. He's just going to get to a random clearing and land there. So he's not. He has no heading, right? He's just going generally west southwest. He's not following any ground path, but he will be able to treat the Earth as stationary, just like every other pilot.
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't particularly matter. Like you're saying, like you're saying that they. Okay, so as you. I mean,
Would
you
it
don't
matter if
have
he was?
to.
Wait, let me ask you this: would it matter if he was 500 miles per hour out of sync with the Earth? Would that matter? He wouldn't be able to land safely, right? So it does matter.
I mean, I'm assuming that you're like I have to think a little bit more about this, but I think I'm
Yeah, you would have
figuring
to think
out
a
how
little bit more about it. You have to
getting.
look into it. You have to like go to ChatGPT and find their answers
No,
and get
no,
it to
I'm
tell you that you're right or wrong
no,
and all of these things.
no,
Go to
no,
your other
no, no,
people; they'll tell you that
no,
it's
no, no,
atmospheric
no, no.
drag.
Well, I'm
They'll try to
literally
give you an
thinking
equation
about.
for
No, shut the
atmospheric
fuck up.
drag,
I'm thinking
and
about it.
they'll try to give you some kind of math, and they'll say, "Oh, well, if he doesn't have a heading, that makes no sense." No, pilots have always just flown wherever they wanted to. If they have an emergency situation, they can fly wherever they need to get to safely. It has nothing to do with ground paths. It has nothing to do with destination. The Earth is always stationary when the pilot lands on it. Now, if it wasn't, that'd be great. You could prove the Earth is spinning. Just take a camera, put it outside the window, and show that the Earth is moving at a different speed eastward than your plane is. There you go. You proved your ball.
I mean,
Sean, what you don't realize is he asked this question to a CERN physicist, and he couldn't answer.
again, you know,
Recorded.
an ill-posed question.
It's not an ill-posed question.
That doesn't mean anything to me. In the same way that I can't appeal to.
Well, here's what it means to you now. But if he's right, Sean, hypothetically,
you have to acknowledge.
I'm not asking you to care. We're just proving that you don't. We're just proving you don't want to know.
No,
because you don't want to know because you'd rather assume that we're wrong still, even though you don't have an answer.
I mean, that's also an appeal to authority even the authorities don't know. It's just in the negative. Like, I don't care what he just said. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, great. Well, you can figure it out on your own and come back with an answer, or try to answer it now. You don't have an answer now, and I'll tell you what, there is no answer to this because the Earth is freaking stationary, bro.
Yeah, the reason I brought it up is because you can go on New Perspectives YouTube channel. He has the audio posted up there. Yeah, and you can listen to his answer. Okay, there's no dynamic way you can make this work. You can't even do it kinematically, quite honestly. But there's no way you can account for wind, momentum, or all these forces and get another 500 miles an hour. It's impossible.
I mean, again, like, I'm not convinced. Like, you know,
of course you're not going to be convinced now. Of course, you want to like walk away and act like you were in a flat Earth group and they're all stupid and you must be smart still.
No.
Instead of thinking, wait a minute, I'm going to go back and I'm going to see if there's something to this, and I'm going to come back to this group.
I am thinking
I'm going to say I figured out why that was an ill-formed question, or why all the assumptions I'd like to spit out now and tell everybody I'm assuming still. You can just take those with you, come back with your answers, and then you can have another conversation instead of trying to yell like you know and we don't. Okay? That's all.
Bro, calm down. Everything's going to be okay.
I'm very calm, bro.
Okay. I actually am thinking about the thing that you proposed. So I think you can calm down. I'm thinking about it. Okay.
I'm very calm, dude. I've done this many times. I'm just trying to get you to calm down and stop yelling over people, and I have to yell over you to get you to stop going, I know it must be ill-formed, and I'm still on a globe, even though planes can't land.
Okay.
Hypothetically, if planes couldn't land, then it's not a globe, right?
What?
If planes couldn't land, right, because of the tangential gradient and the ground moving faster at the equator or wherever they fly to, if they're not eastwardly moving in perfect sync and there's no answer to that, then your globe is debunked, bro.
I mean, again, you're relying on. It's interesting now you're requiring like conservation of angular momentum and all these other kind of like physics, which I know that you shouldn't be denying. But like when I mentioned that earlier as
not denying any of it, I started with the conservation of momentum. I gave you that.
I know, and
that would dissipate as soon as you got in the air. The friction of the air would make your conservation of 500 mile per hour eastward tangential velocity. That would dissipate as soon as you got in the air. But you can keep all of it, bro. I'll just let you beg the question with that 500 miles per hour. But you got to double it by the time you get to the equator. You wouldn't have it, dude. You wouldn't have double.
Yeah, well, obviously, no. This is again why I said it's an ill-posed question, because I don't. A priori, it could just be you're asking where does that speed come from? It could just be from the fucking jet turbines on the plane, which is also. And that's
right.
My
so
point
then I'll tell you, go look into it.
I'm not trying to give
you. So if it has to go backwards, how do the jet turbines make the plane go backwards if it's going against the spin? How is the jet turbines flying the plane forward to slow to a land facing westward when it needs to be going still backwards eastward at 1,000 miles an hour to keep in sync with the Earth? How is it flowing down to 0 miles an hour to land on a runway facing whichever direction and still moving the plane eastward at exactly 1,000 miles an hour so it can treat the Earth as stationary? Turbines are going to do that? What kind of turbines are you talking about?
Again, I'm assuming I would have to know more about aviation in general, but I'm pretty sure don't the whole point is that they're trying to keep all of their equipment calibrated so that things do appear to them as stationary, so that they can, visually.
They don't try to do anything. It's just stationary. You don't have to try
No, they have
anything.
like
They just
they
fly as
have
if it's
these.
stationary.
No,
They
they
land
have
as
like
if it's stationary. The plane is made to fly over a stationary Earth and land on a stationary Earth. It's not made to go backwards. The pilot's not trying to do anything in accordance with any kind of rotation. The pilot thinks nothing about that. I've talked to many of them. Many people in here have. They just admit that they fly as if it's stationary. You will find that's
and
true.
I'm pretty sure that that's what they have a whole bunch of tools on the dashboard that try to help them line up and so make sure that everything looks like it's like as if things were stationary. Of course, that it
Oh
isn't.
yeah, they would need that, right? Like
Well,
let's say that there was tools in the dashboard. They would need a tool that tells them how fast the Earth is spinning relative to their plane, so they can keep in sync eastward. But then if they're flying westward, the plane wouldn't be able to go faster eastward anyway. So it wouldn't even if there was a tool, which there isn't, you'll find out there is no tool that tells them how fast the Earth is spinning.
gotta go.
Well, I mean, that's just a
Come on,
function of
thermodynamics.
your coordinates, like and where you're like and how high you are up. I guess. I mean, it would be a function of your coordinates in space relative to the
What would
Earth.
be a function? The Earth spin? No, the Earth spin has nothing to do with what they see in the
Well, it's
dashboard. I'll
the
tell you that.
geometry of a sphere. Yeah, again, it's just like
No,
you
it's not on the
no, if you
dashboard. There's
knew
no sphere in the fucking
if you
cockpit.
knew latitude and
There's
longitude,
nothing
you'd know where
spherical
you
about
are.
it.
You would know. No, I mean that's
Yeah.
the exact difference between the
The thing is,
latitude.
dude, this
You're
is a
saying
joyriding.
that
This is a joyriding pilot. He has no aim. He has no destination. He has no ground path. He's just out for a ride. He's going to go in big circles all over. In fact, he's going to circle the area that he might land in just to make sure. He's going to circle it like maybe 20 times. Now you got to think about that. The plane needs to be going eastward as it's circling, right? As it's circling, it needs to go eastward that whole time, but it's only going forward at 100 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour as it's figuring out where he's going to land. There's no destination, no ground path, nothing. He's just finding the clearing and landing, and he'll be able to treat it as stationary because the spherical spinning Earth has nothing to do with flying at all. And you will find out I'm right.
I'm still thinking about. I mean, of course, you're just kind of like throwing a lot of stuff out there. I am.
No, it's just one thing. There needs to be going twice as fast eastward. It's not a lot of stuff.
Chill.
Twice as fast eastward. It's just one thing. You have to figure that out.
I'm just trying to say one thing. I'm just saying I'll think about this. If anyone else wants to hop in, I'm just kind of reflecting on it. I'm just kind of reflecting on this. This.
There you go. Good for
on
you.
this. Yeah. You can just but if anyone else wants to say anything, they can do that. I'm just
respect, bro. Respect. Go figure it out, and you'll find out I'm right, and you'll realize you were just proved that you do not live in a spinning ball. And don't worry about your friends, bro. You're smarter than them now for figuring this out and not just buying the mainstream fucking narrative. Do you have any other ballers in here have an answer to this? There should be tons of ballers coming to your aid here with the answer on how planes fucking land for on a ball. I mean, if it's that simple, right? So a lot of flat earthers don't even get this yet, right? Because they're like, oh, if it's that simple, they could never have sold it. How if planes can't even land, then how the fuck did they convince everybody we're on a freaking spinning ball? All right, looks like my work here is done. Have a good night, guys. Have a good night, guys.
Booked a flight today, Heathrow to JFK. Headed west-southwest, cause there ain't no better way. Gonna find that old Corey Coriolis, they say she's hidden in the winds, but that just can't be if we rotate east, tangential gradient. Hidden in the winds, Coriolis must be hidden in the winds, but the Earth ain't moving faster with the further south we've been, and we never could land safely with that tangential gradient. And we all know every pilot treats the Earth as motionless, so to think it must be moving is just insane, you must confess. But please don't get offended if this song makes too much sense. Just thank God that landing's easy with no tangential gradient in the winds. They said she'd just be hidden in the winds, but the Earth ain't moving faster with the further south we've been, and we never could land safely with that tangential gradient. So here's a lesson for who's listening. It's dynamics that are true. No kinematic concept could ever substitute. So the next time you are flying, no matter where you go, don't worry about rotation, 'cause we ain't on no damn globe. So here's a lesson for who's listening. It's dynamics that are true. No kinematic concept could ever substitute. So the next time you are flying, no matter where you go, don't worry about rotation, 'cause we ain't on no damn globe. Hidden in the winds, Coriolis just ain't hidden in these winds, and the Earth ain't moving faster with the further south we go. So thank God we won't be crashing when those wheels hit down below. Hidden in the winds, there ain't no Coriolis hidden in the winds, and thank God it's stationary, or we never safely land on a surface that is moving with a tangential gradient. Yes, here's a lesson for who's listening. It's dynamics that are true. No kinematic concept could ever substitute. So the next time you are flying, no matter where you go, don't worry about rotation, 'cause we ain't on no damn globe. Hidden in the winds, Coriolis just ain't hidden in these winds, and their Earth ain't moving faster with the further south we've been, and thank God we won't be crashing when we touch down at the end. And thank the Lord, Earth is stationary, or we never safely land on a surface that is moving. There's no tangential gradient.
That's a tangential velocity of 500 miles per hour at the latitude that you jumped from, or you went up in a helicopter, right?
Sure. Yep.
Now, the helicopter, or let's say it's a plane, is going to fly to the equator, right? Where the ground is now moving 1,000 miles an hour, right? And the plane is going to try to land on a landing strip that's now moving 1,000 miles an hour, but he only conserved 500 miles per hour conserved momentum. Where does the extra 500 come from?
So you're okay. So this person.
Oh, it's a plane, right? And all pilots are taught to treat the Earth as stationary. They don't ever worry about rotation or curvature or any of that. They just any pilot is taught is to fly and land as if, in quotes, the Earth is stationary and level. Just like all flight simulators use, they don't do any rotation, and they don't have any kind of tangential velocity included in their flight simulators. But the pilot's gonna land on the landing strip that's moving at 1,000 miles an hour as if it were stationary, meaning that the plane has to be rotating eastward at exactly 1,000 miles an hour or whatever the speed is that he's landing on the Earth at. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Do you?